The most popular worms to fish in the spring is the Senko or any kind of stick style worm. But with that, there's a lot of different ways to fish it. Today on Bass Fishing Declassified, we're going to have Matt Steffen, Kyle Cordiana, Randy Blockett share which way they like to fish it and in certain situations why they do. Is it going to be the Wacky rig? Is it going to be Texas rig? Or is it going to be swimming, the swimming style Senko? Hey, stay tuned guys. You're not going to want to miss this.
One of my favorite presentations during the pre-spawn period is to fish a swimming worm, something like this guy right here. This is the Berkley Speed Boss, 6 3/4 inch, one of my favorite colors, June bug red. Basically what you're looking to do is cover large expansive flats. During the pre-spawn period, you have a lot of fish that are moving from deeper water up into shallow areas for a couple of reasons. One, they're looking for warmer water, and these shallow flats are going to be anywhere from like 2 to 6 feet of water. You got some new grass growth, you've got some submerged wood, places that will absorb heat, so the fish are looking for that. But at the same time, the bass are not the only things looking for that warmer water. You've got a lot of bait fish moving up there, and therefore forage for the bass as well. And a swimming worm like this guy right here is one of my favorite baits to fish. But I got to tell you, I don't fish it like a lot of people do. I do not cast and wind straight back. I generally use my rod to retrieve the bait, and I do it by making big sweeping motions. So I'll throw the bait up there and I'll use a 1/4 ounce unpegged worm weight. And what I do is I just sweep the rod, and every time I sweep the rod, I let the worm fall all the way to the bottom. And what happens is you have your weight separates from the bait, your weight hits the bottom, and your worm very slowly falls and settles into areas where those fish are at. So if you've got holes in the grass, if you've got stumps on that flat, places that are high percentage areas where those fish are going to hang out, when I drop that worm in there, it creates a very good chance at a reaction strike and an opportunity at catching a big fish. So I don't necessarily cast and wind like a lot of people do with their swimming worms. I'm fishing it more like a traditional worm, you know, your 8-inch power worms, baits where you're kind of dragging it along the bottom. I kind of do that. Instead of dragging it, I'll give it a quick sweep to get the bait up off the bottom, and then I let it settle down. But this is a really good technique during the pre-spawn period because you have a lot of fish that are looking to feed. They're up shallow, cruising the flats, and a big, you know, worm like this guy right here, or some of the other large swimming worms are some of the baits that you're gonna want to give a try during this period.
Hey everybody, welcome back here to another edition of Bass Fishing Declassified, and really thank everybody for taking a little time out of your day to check the video out, and got some really good tips for y'all today. We're going to be talking about Texas rigging soft plastic stick baits like the Senko in the springtime of the year. You know, this is, God's one of the most effective ways to catch bass, if not the most effective bass in the springtime of the year. I would bet that the Senko or the soft plastic stick bait has accounted for more bass over the past 20 years than any other lure category, especially in the springtime of the year. So I'm going to show you all how I like to set them up and how to fish them. First of all, two different ones here that I use. This is the Zoom Slinky, and this is the Yamamoto Senko. These are my two favorite here. I really like the colors and the texture in the Zoom Slinky. Lots of salt in the Senko. One of the things I want to show you all, the first thing I do before I Texas rig them is I rough them up. If you guys have seen some of the videos on my own YouTube channel, I've shown this a lot, but I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Here's two Senkos here, and before I use them, I always break the salt up here a lot. In the Slinkies, any soft plastic like that. And by doing this, it makes the bait more pliable. I think it gives it a little bit better action, and it gives it a different look. Now take a look at the before and after here on the same bait. And you can see specifically how, so I can get the good picture there, you can see specifically the difference in the colors by roughing them up. So that's the first thing I do. The next thing I do is go to my rigging. Now the way I like to rig this, guys, is weightless, without any type of slip sinker on there, because in the springtime of the year, you're going to find out that the bass like a much slower fall. So I don't use any type of a weight. I just Texas rig it, and my preferred hook is this Gamakatsu G-Finesse EWG hook. You can see that on there. Gamakatsu G-Finesse EWG hook. This is they call it the hybrid it's called the Gamakatsu hybrid worm hook. And it's a needle point, it's got a nano coating on it, which makes it really slick. And I go with the 2-aught size as my favorite. One of the mistakes is you don't want to go too big, guys. You want to make sure that you stay more on the small side than the big side. You just get more bites with it. I come through like 1/4 of an inch on it, like that, come back through, and then I'm going to come all the way through the soft plastic to where it sticks out the other side. You can see it actually sticking out there. And if it's really snaggy, like a lot of brush, I'll bury it back in like that. But I prefer just to leave it open like that, where it's not where it's sticking out. You just get better hook penetration. So that's this is the look that you have when it's finished right here. Most of the time, like I said, I'm using it on a spinning rod with probably 8 to 10 pound test line. And the reason that I use the Texas rig over the popular Wacky rig is the fact that the Texas rig allows me to fish a little bit thicker cover. Say if I'm fishing it around grass edges or around boat docks or around some type of brush or stumps, I won't get hung up near as much. So I prefer the Texas rigging of it with no weight if I'm fishing around cover. Now, if I'm not fishing around cover, then I'll go to the Wacky style, but this is my favorite way to set it up. And guys, the biggest bass I've ever caught in my life was at Lake Okeechobee on a Texas rig soft plastic stick bait, just like this, almost an 11-pound bass on it. So giant bass will hit it and you can catch lots of numbers. Most of the time I'm staying with natural tones, watermelons, green pumpkins, highly productive for me. So that's the setup, guys. Texas rig, soft plastic stick bait, 2-aught Gamakatsu G-Finesse hybrid worm hook, Zoom Zlinky, Yamamoto Senko, roughing it up like that. It's going to get you a lot of bites, and it's going to get you a lot of good bites too. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see y'all next time.
Hey guys, if you are enjoying today's video, make sure to hit the subscribe button for us, please, so you do not miss out on any additional content. Also, do not forget about our one-on-one virtual lessons that we're offering at fishthemoment.com. With these virtual lessons, you'll have an opportunity to meet with one of our team members one-on-one through a Zoom, Google Meet call, and you will have the chance to ask questions, learn different techniques, and see how one of our team members will attack the body of water that you asked. Just think of that as an opportunity for you as an angler to grow and learn. I know with me as a coach, when I coached for 12 years, man, there were many times that I would go and meet and visit with other coaches, go to conventions, and this for you is an opportunity to grow and learn as an angler. I know you can watch all the videos that we offer, and which is great, and we really appreciate it, but just by sitting down and having list questions there and just getting the feedback from the anglers, you will get something out of it that will make you a better angler.
Hey guys, Kyle Cordiana here with Bass Fishing Declassified. Listen, throwing a stick worm, a yum dinger, the Senko style bait, it is one of the most diverse baits there is. I throw it all across the country. You can literally throw it anywhere as long as you don't have chocolate milk water clarity. Now there's probably scenarios where that still works, but if it's chocolate milk, I'm probably not throwing a Wacky worm. But anyway, I got 4 rods sitting here. I got my Yum Dinger tackle box. I'm going to show you the hooks I use, some tricks I use, the line, the setup, and everything to where you can throw a Wacky rig almost anywhere in the country. So let's just get right into it. First and foremost, spinning rods. I got 4 of them here. They're all spinning rods. You're going to get really frustrated trying to throw a Wacky worm on a bait caster. So first and foremost, find you a spinning rod. All 4 of these are in between 7 foot and 7 foot 6 inches long. They're all between a medium action and a medium heavy action. The reason I'm going to start with a medium action is if I'm going to skip a Wacky worm a lot. So Wacky worms are great for skipping. You just rear back, keep the bait parallel to the water surface, and just watch it go. It's one of the funnest baits to throw. It's one of the most effective baits to throw. But in order to get a lot of skipping out of it, you need a rod that has a lot of action. So a medium action or light, medium, heavy action. You want a lot of little whip in your spinning rod. That's going to help skip that bait, get it up underneath that dock, or help present that kind of silent presentation. So if I can get away with a medium or light, medium, heavy action, that's what I'm going to do for skipping. If I'm going to go up to a medium heavy, it's because I'm not skipping it. I'm literally throwing that Wacky worm at target. So maybe these fish are spawning, because we're talking about March, April. This is when I love throwing a Wacky worm. And if they're spawning, they could be spawning on a brush pile, a flooded bush, a laydown, something like that, to where skipping it ain't really what I'm after. I'm trying to land exactly where that fish is. I might even be able to see that fish and know it's on a bed. And so in that scenario, a medium heavy is what I'm going to use, because I'm going to use heavier line. I might throw it on straight braid. I just left Florida. 2 of these rods are literally rigged with straight braid. because I'm in grass, thick cover, and I want to be able to throw that wacky worm, and it's so light you can't do it with a bait caster. So I got a heavier action rod, medium heavy. I got braid so I can try to fight them through that vegetation, or if I'm going to fly, or if I need to fight them through flooded bushes or laid down timber, things like that. So I might even consider throwing it on straight braid. This rod here, I am currently in Georgia, South Carolina, about to fish lakes in Alabama. They're spawning. This has got a 10-pound Power Pro Super Slick 8 main line, braided line. And then I've got an 8-pound Sea Garden VizX fluorocarbon leader on it. I'll probably put about a 20-foot long leader on there. I like a good long leader so I don't have to break off and retie my leader. But this is going to be a 7.3 light medium heavy. So I've got that paired with a Kistler Series 1 reel, 6.2 to 1 gear ratio. If you're going to throw it on straight braid, or if you're going to throw it on straight fluorocarbon, the most important thing to remember is the diameter of that line needs to be able to freely go through these guides. So on a spinning rod, you're limited. You can't throw big, heavy line and expect that line to freely go through. So if you're going to throw a straight fluorocarbon, I recommend throwing 8-pound line. You might get away with 10, but it's probably going to start rattling on the eyes when you cast it. If you're going to throw it on straight braid, like I've done here, I really recommend around 15-pound braided line. You might get away with 20 or a little heavier, but 15 seems to be the perfect diameter braided line for me if you're going to throw it on straight braid. Next, I'm going to talk about hook selection. There's a lot of really good hooks out there for throwing a wacky worm. My favorite is the TK137, the Eagle Claw Trocar brand. This one here has got the weed guards on it. This one does not. If I'm going to be throwing it in heavy cover, brush piles, flooded bushes, timber like we're talking about, I'm throwing the weed guard. If I'm throwing it in open water, even around docks, I'm not using that weed guard. So those are the two differences. This is a size number 2. For me, a size number 2 is the best hook that you can throw on a wacky worm. So that's my recommendation. You can go a little bigger. They've got number 1s. You can get up to a 1/0, 2/0 if you want to get really big. But I think number 2 is the perfect size wacky worm hook. The other option that's out there, I don't know what brand names there are out there. There's a bunch of them. But you might want a weighted hook. So there are some weighted hook options out there. I prefer that kind of Pro V-bend style hook. This one has a weed guard. You can get them with or without. That's one way to make your worm fall faster. So here's one rigged up. Here's my Yum Dinger rigged up, sitting ready to go. Notice that I do not have an O-ring on that. It's real common to have an O-ring tool where you put the black rubber band around your worm and you hook it through there, and it does save your plastic a little bit. But my opinion, you want your hook like that. If you have the ring on there, then that ring's around it and you're hooking the worm like this. And what happens is that hook is sitting there like that in line with the worm. And when the fish takes that bait from the side, if his mouth comes up and grabs it from the side, my hand is basically that fish's mouth and the hook is sideways. I want that hook up so it hooks the fish in the nose. So I prefer, and Yum Dingers have a little slot right there. It's a perfect spot to hook it, is that inside part of that slot. So the worm goes, hook goes right in that slot, comes right up and out. And that to me gets like the perfect balance of the worm when the worm's in the water and you get that perfect fall on the side. But if I want to make this worm fall a little bit faster, especially if I'm throwing on straight braid, the braid's going to want to float, it's going to hold that worm up. I'm going to take a nail weight. This one's bigger than I want. You literally can just take it, bend it, break it, and depending on how you want the worm to fall, you can put that weight anywhere in that worm that you want to. So obviously you don't want to put it where the hook is, but if you want to enter in the middle of the worm, you can. Most of the time, I'm going to put it right on the end of the worm. So I'm just going to shove it right into the nose of the worm. And you're going to go through a lot of these, so make sure you have a bunch of these nail weights. They're cheap. You can stock up on them. And like I said, I bought a big old pack of these long ones a long time ago. I'm still using them. But you can break them up into real fine little pieces. And you just hide it in the worm like that. It's just in there. And now that worm is going to want to fall a lot faster, and it's going to want to fall head first. So what I'm going to do is to keep that worm falling straight parallel with the bottom and having that notorious action, I'm going to re-rig this worm and I'm going to hook it more towards the front of this slot in this Yum Dinger. And you can just drop this in the water and see if it's got the right rate of fall. This may be too much, but that weight's gonna wanna do this because the weight's in it now and you're gonna want it to free fall. So play with your hook location until you get that rate of fall that matches the weight of your nail weight to where you still get that worm. You want that worm sideways. You want it to fall just like this. It sits here and does this all the way to the bottom. And so that'll make it fall faster. Take that nail weight out, it's gonna fall really slow. So that's another way to do it. I really like that style, especially paired with that TK137. These are my two favorite color stick worms. These are Yum Dingers, and I throw these all over the country, and I'll tell you when and how. This is Ozark Shadow. Okay, I'm gonna pull out a single worm so you can look at it. This is the color Money. This was a newer worm that came out a couple of years ago, year and a half ago, and I just straight wrecked him on Guntersville on this color. There's Ozark Shadow. So you can see it's good combination. It's kind of a dark green pumpkin, but it's got a lot of purple fleck in it. This is really natural colored. And for me, anywhere I have really clear water and the fish are pre-spawn, maybe starting to spawn, spotted bass fisheries, largemouth fisheries, both, they love this color. It's very neutral. I catch a ton of fish on Ozark Shadow. When you're getting in the heat of the spawn, when you're getting to where bass are defending their bed from bluegills really hardcore, I love going to this color Money. It's got that chartreuse flash that imitates that chartreuse, that vibrant chartreuse tail that a bluegill puts off. It's got a little bit of gold flake in it, which is also consistent with a bluegill. So anytime you get hardcore into the spawn or even post-spawn, when now bass are eating the bluegill that are spawning, they're back up there, they're looking for things that look this color. If you had to narrow it down to two colors, the Yum Ozark Shadow and the Yum Dinger Money are the only two colors I think you have to have if you're gonna do it. And you get those at lurenet.com. Use my coupon code, it's gonna save you money, it helps me out. My code's Cortiana15, CORTIANA15. Get 15% off at lurenet.com and save you some money. Go catch some fish during the spring on these Yum Dingers. Hope this helps. We'll see you guys on the next one.
Thank you guys for watching today's video on Bass Fishing Declassified. Let us know what is your favorite way to fish the Senko. I know for me, it's very, very situational. I enjoy swimming that Senko and getting bites on it. I love the Wacky rig bite as well. And then of course, Texas rig. I mean, like I said, you can't go wrong with the original Texas rig. Hey, thank you guys for watching. We will see you next time.